Dr. Macro Detectors is the fastest growing manufacturer in the industry, and for good reason. Many detectorists, including Mike Haer, call us the most innovative, but we are so much more than that. We listen to and care about our customers. We also offer a wide range of detectors to fit all of your needs. Come check out all of our products today at www.noctadetectors.com. Detectors for everyone, everywhere, a lifetime.
Welcome to the All Metal Mode podcast with your host, Michael Haer. Tune in every Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern with co-host Gypsy Jules, and every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern with Matt Hoffman as we talk to guests, discuss metal detectors, equipment, and everything treasure related. Feel free to join in the discussion in the chat room during the show, and please, if you like what you hear, we'd appreciate you taking a moment to hit that like button and share the link with your friends. We hope you enjoy the show. The All Metal Mode podcast starts right now.
Hello, everybody. This is Mike Haer, and you're listening to the All Metal Mode podcast. Tonight, Dorian will not be joining us, so hopefully we'll have him back next week. Tonight's guest is Amy Carter, and I'll tell you, she's really new to the hobby. And so her and I talked the other day, and she's just a great personality, great attitude, very excited to get into metal detecting. And Dorian and I have been discussing doing a series of podcast episodes where we start off really basic and simple for people brand new to the hobby, people wanting to get into the hobby, and explain things. And Amy's new enough that, and she's got a ton of questions, and we were talking the other day, and I'm like, this would be a good way to kick off this series. For you more advanced, I apologize, but we would love to get a series out there that people can refer back to. And I think you'll still have fun. And Amy is a hoot, so I think you'll enjoy the show. Before we get started, though, you can find us on Facebook at All Metal Mode, as well as All Metal Mode Podcast UK. All Metal Mode is every Monday and Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and All Metal Mode UK is every Thursday at 8 p.m. GMT time or 3 p.m. Eastern. Dirt Digest magazine, the current issue is out, of course, it's the 10th, so it's a free online magazine. Check us out at dirtdigestmagazine.com. Please keep in mind we are looking for articles. You don't have to be a writer to submit an article. You can reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to help you. I'll proofread it, help you write it, whatever you need. You can email me at mhair@dirtdigestmagazine.com. We are also looking for good finds to put in the magazine each month. If you've got something, submit it, and we'll get it published in the next issue. I believe it's, if you go to the dirtdigestmagazine.com, I think it's Treasure Room Submissions. And submit a picture, give us a brief explanation, a little bit of background info, a little story on it, and we will get it published. And yeah, that'd be awesome. Events, if you know of any, please let us know. Any metal detecting history, anything related to metal detecting that somebody might be interested in, club hunt, whatever, let us know. We'll be more than happy to announce it for you. Please spread the word about All Metal Mode Podcast. Tell your detecting buddies, tell your friends, tell your grandma, your aunts. We don't care. Just anybody can listen. Anybody that's got anybody. This Thursday on All Metal Mode UK, we will have Mike Smith back on. He's the guy who found the chariot, I think, back in the fall. huge find over there. And this one is, I'm told, is going to be uncensored. He's not, I don't know, I guess he had to watch what he could, what was being said up until now. Now he's not under contract. I'm not even positive what that means, but I think it's going to be a really interesting story. So yeah. So might be worth tuning in Thursday night. And welcome everybody in the chat. Glad to have you. Amy, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am good.
Actually, I'm doing great.
Once the show gets started, I'm not as nervous. I'm going to go ahead and tell our listeners, I sent something pretty crude to my wife because that's what we do. And the second I sent it, I realized I sent it to Amy because we were texting right before the show. So that made me really nervous. And but she's still agreed to come on, so we're good and everything's good. Yeah, and then while we're going to be talking crude, let's just start right off the rip with tell me about the big snake in your husband's pants. let's get that out of the way. Get that story out of the way. Oh my God, I've been dying to get you on just for that. I got to be honest.
Yeah, so I hear that's getting through that's making its way through the rumor mill. Yeah, so I went on my first hunt the beginning of the summer. And it was a mixture of the gold panning groups and the metal detecting group that I'm a part of. And after our seeded hunt, we went to the creek to do some gold panning. It was our first time. I made my husband come with me. He was not very happy about it. He really doesn't like to be in bodies of water, but I made him do it. And we were panning close to the edge of the water line and a really grassy area. So as I was digging, I guess I interrupted a 4-foot snake. It decided to take off. It swam up, hit my leg. I could feel it. I didn't know if it was a fish or a piece of grass at the moment. But as soon as I heard my husband scream, I knew what it was. I already knew what it was before he even said anything. Or he jumped up, and the snake just came falling out of his shorts. Now, he was wearing swim shorts. So, things are a little loose down there, And, this 4-foot snake swam up one side and swam down the other. Oh. He stood up screaming. And the snake fell out and swam away. Multiple people saw it. They were just cracking up. It could have been a disaster, obviously. Right. But it turned out to be just a funny story for us to tell for the future. But, I went online and looked up some pictures of it, and I am about 90% sure it was a copperhead.
Yeah, that is scary. See, that's scary. Why almost every week Gypsy either invites me down and calls me a chicken, or we talk about it and she calls me chicken. I'm like, because Gypsy's down here in Texas, south of me, and she's all the time in the water. And I'm just like, no, thank you. I mean, it's not going to happen. No. And I bet your husband will never get in water like that again. I'm guessing.
Probably not. I mean, it was one of those things that you joke about and say, oh, we're going to get in the water. Going to be a snake or something, but you don't really actually think it's going to happen, but it did. And it was, right up those shorts, one side and out the other. And I don't think I've ever heard him scream so high in all of my life. It was, I thought it was a woman screaming.
Don't make fun of him, though. Don't, that's not, just don't do it. Don't do it. Oh my goodness, yeah,
he's probably in the other room listening to me saying, dang it.
Yeah, dang it, that guy had to bring it up. I already don't like him.
He's probably had several nightmares. I mean, I don't know about you, but snakes just give me the heebie-jeebies, so I can't imagine how he felt with one in his pants.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I am like deathly afraid. I really am. It just creeps me out, so... Yeah, good times. That is. Oh my. Yeah. So I have this fear of snakes. And I tell everybody, I don't want to kill them. I know they're good for the environment and all that. I don't want to see them. I don't want to be around them.
No.
That kind of thing. But my nightmare has been for a long time. I've got a friend who, I told you this off air, that he stopped at a farm, barn was collapsed, and he wanted a door off the barn. And the farmer's like, yeah, you can have it. Well, as soon as he grabbed it and picked it up, a snake shot up his leg to like his upper thigh before it got too tight, and he just froze with the door. And finally the snake, after I believe a few minutes, backed back down. And, I just can't imagine. That's been my nightmare, that I'll wake up like, oh my God, it happened to me. Now you gave me a whole new nightmare. Thanks a lot.
Nightmares are real. They're real. There are real monsters out there.
Right. Right. Yeah. Goodness gracious.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, Mike had already told me, Mike Fusen, from Dirt Digest Magazine's one who told
Great
me.
guy.
So is he?
Yeah.
After telling me that story,
He witnessed it.
yeah. After telling me that story, I don't know that he's such a great guy now. I'll be honest with you. I don't know.
I'm sure my husband's going to have something to say.
Right.
He's a great guy. It was a good story. It really was. I wish I had it on camera. I could show everybody.
Right. Oh my goodness.
I would love to have seen his face.
I wouldn't want to watch that video. That's like what nightmares are made of right there, really.
I mean, it could have been worse, right?
Yeah, it could have. Yeah, it could have been worse.
It didn't bite him.
Absolutely. I agree. It could have been worse. That's a good way to look at it. But I still, I think to be really honest, I probably would have soiled myself and passed out. That's probably what would happen.
Well, he may have. I don't know. We were in the water. Maybe he did. That's maybe why this snake got away so fast.
Right. Maybe. You're right. Oh, now we're gonna have to get I was say we're gonna have to get your husband on here sometime and make fun of him and everything. That's just not right. I don't really. I wouldn't do that because I gotta snakes aren't my thing. But well, I'm glad we got that out of the way at least. And
yeah.
So, how long have you been detecting?
Well, I would say, let's see, my interest came last year watching some of the some shows on cable, and it was more about the waterways down in Florida and the treasure. And I thought, how can I get involved in this? What is something that I can do? Because I'm way up north. I'm not where I can find that kind of treasure. So I thought about it, and I started watching videos. I would say almost 2 years ago, watching videos on YouTube of different people, men and women, metal detecting, and I thought that is an easier, cheaper way for me to get involved in treasure, if you will. So I started doing some research, and I bought my first handheld underwater metal detector, and I went on vacation to Tampa, to St. Petersburg, and I used it to go along some areas on the beach. And that was in the fall of last year. So that was the first time I ever picked up any type of metal detector. And the first time I ever found anything. So that's when I got started. It was just last fall, really.
Yeah, that's really cool. And like I said, you and I talked the other day, and you brought up a lot of good questions. I thought a lot of good questions, and I thought, well, Dorian and I have been talking about kicking this off, so let's do it. And I think it's a great way to kick it off. So having you ask questions, and even right before the show, you were asking questions that I thought were really good. And like I was saying, when you've been doing it long enough, sometimes it's easy to forget what somebody new to the hobby. And I think this gives us a perfect opportunity to get some questions answered that somebody fairly new to the hobby would have. So with that, do you want to start asking me some questions?
Absolutely. I would love to. I have so many questions. I don't think we have enough time. So I'll just start getting them out. My biggest problem when I first started was, what do I need to get started with this hobby? And how do I choose the right machine? So I found that very difficult.
Okay. I think that is just an absolutely brilliant question. And what I would tell anybody, I don't want to get into specifics of brands and stuff. Okay. Now, if there's anybody out there who wants to reach out to me and talk brands and stuff, I will say this. Every manufacturer out there has some really good detectors. Okay. I mean, well, all the major brands, and that's where I'll start. You want to stick with the major well-known brands, Technetics, Fisher, White's, Garrett, MineLab. I'm probably forgetting some. Nowadays with Amazon and everything else, there's some really, really cheap, not,
that's where my problem was.
Yeah, I think
that's the first place I went because I couldn't find them out in the regular stores. Right.
And, nowadays with the internet and stuff, there's so many dealers. There's a lot of good dealers. I sell detectors. I've told you that. Yeah, Nocta Macro, Jiminy Christmas. Nocta Macro is one of my favorite, and I left them out literally at the top of my favorites. Nocta Macro is another one, and Nocta Macro is also coming out with a starter in the entry-level price range that I think nobody's used it yet. It's not out yet, but I mean, it has the potential to take over the entry-level price. And so I'm really excited to see what that's about. It's waterproof. It looks super light, a DD coil, which is a great coil. It's got some really neat features. Honestly, I don't know a lot of the features yet, but I haven't heard of them. But Bill makes a real good point. And Chad, he said there's a lot of counterfeits out there, and you do want to buy from a reputable dealer. Matter of fact, I'm on a couple of those apps for buying and selling stuff, and I'll get on there. And I here lately, I've really been on the kick of old detectors, and I've been looking to see if there's anything come up. And there's a guy that there will be one Garrett pinpointer, the Garrett Carrot, which I think is around $120, $130, somewhere in there. Don't hold me to that. And he's selling them for $70. And as soon as it sells, within a day or two at most, he's got another one for sale. I can almost guarantee those are counterfeit, and he's paying about $29 for them. So buy from a reputable dealer, and how you can do that is go to the manufacturer's website, find dealers, ask, if anybody out there wants to know, you can reach out to me. I'll tell you a reputable dealer in your area or whatever. And stick with a reputable dealer. The last thing you want is a counterfeit, because although it might look identical or almost identical, they don't work identical. And so there's that. What you need... Well, and okay, here's something else I want to say a little bit more on this. You've got to know through research whether or not what you're wanting to do. I'm saying this all wrong. If you want a detector to do a specific thing, and you're buying a detector because you want to go find deep silver coins, you're probably not going to do that on a regular basis with a entry level detector. So either you got to decide whether to spend more money or to start off and not find that stuff starting out and see if you like the hobby. Because I know as somebody who sells detectors, I get that a lot with newbies. Like, I want to go find old silver coins, and I'm like, okay, well, usually, depending on where they're at in a situation, and even that can change, I've been to places and found silver coins at 2 inches, but the majority of them, like in Ohio, are 6 inches or deeper. It just depends. But in most cases, they're deeper, and you're not going to usually do that with a entry-level detector. They don't have the capability to go that deep. They don't have the capability to separate targets that good. And that's okay, because what I tell them, if you don't want to get into the hobby at $500 or more, buy one of the entry-level detectors. Go out and literally, you can go out for a season if you go out enough and dig enough, and you can find enough stuff to buy that. I mean, I remember years and years ago, one of my first detectors, actually I was working a lot of hours. I didn't get to detect as much as my brother. We both picked up entry-level detectors, and that summer, between all the clad and the scrap gold he found, he could have easily spent $700-800. And so you got to decide what you want to do, but you also have to understand detectors in the price range have limits. And I will say prices are coming down. Without a doubt, the prices of detectors are coming down. There's definitely a trend in that, which is really nice. So equipment, I think you need a detector. I would highly recommend a good digger. And for anybody who listens to the show, I'm a huge fan of the Predator Tools stuff. And it's second to none. It's all made in the U.S. by George Lesh. You pay a little bit more, but you get a lot more. You really do.
Can you repeat that name for me?
Predator Tools.
Predator Tools.
Yes.
Okay.
They make hand diggers and shovels. They're all chromoly, which is lighter than steel. They make some of the strongest stuff available. George works a full-time job, comes home every night, and he builds the tools. And he treats each one individually. They're really just works of art. And there are people doing them cheaper, but you're not going to find better quality. It's impossible. And we've had them on the podcast. They're such good people. They're detectorists. And anyhow, I really didn't want to get into brands, but make sure you end up with a good hand digger. Don't go buy it. A lot of times these dealers send, they throw in stuff and a plastic digger and stuff. You're going to break that. You're going to hurt yourself.
Oh yeah.
I
found that out.
Yeah. Yeah. And another thing,
while
we're talking about dealers, I mean, they are so spread out across the country, but if you can find a local dealer who will spend time with you, that is huge. Now with the internet and everything else, it's a lot less going on. But, 10 years ago, I would have people all the time that would want me to take them out and show them, and I would do that. And if you can find a dealer like that, they can just save so much time and, teach you so much in such little time. So that's something else I would recommend. For sure.
You can find those people online or,
well, yeah. A lot of times you can do like a Google search, like, you're in Indiana, correct?
Correct. I'm in Northwest Indiana.
Yeah. So you could, type in Indiana dealers and they're going to pop up and, see if you can find one close to you. If not, at least buy from a dealer who's going to help you. I am always a phone call away. I love helping people. I love helping people new to the hobby. Make sure there's a lot of me out there. So make sure you buy a detector from somebody who will help you and knows detecting. Unfortunately, one of the trends that I've seen that I really don't like, and it's kind of disappointing, is it seems like anybody and everybody can become a dealer, and the market's saturated. But also, a lot of these dealers, there's several out there that don't even detect. Scott says asking.
That's interesting.
Yeah, Scott says ask in any Facebook group you will find a good dealer. That's not necessarily true. They sponsor that group, so that doesn't necessarily mean they're a good dealer, but you can find them through the groups and stuff. Bill said Chuck Smalley is close to you. I don't know Chuck Smalley personally, but I'll tell you, I've never heard anything but good about him. And so we could hook you up, or if Bill knows his website or anything like that. I forget the name of his shop, but yeah, I don't know him personally, but I've never heard. I'll say I've only heard good about him, so that's saying something.
Now, would you suggest to someone who's new like me, I was thinking about, I'm sorry, I have dogs barking.
That's okay.
Anyway,
That's okay.
Kids and dogs.
Yeah.
So I originally was a little torn between buying a used, good quality machine or a brand new starting machine. And I was told, no, buy a new machine. You get the warranty with it. The company will back it. So I did that, but I do like that I did buy eventually a used machine from Mike, and he knows that machine, so he's been able to kind of walk me through it. I got lucky. I don't think that there's a lot of people that would do that, but for me it worked out. So I have a brand new machine. I have a Garrett Ace 250. And then I have the F2. Yes. And that's the one that Mike gave me. And he knows all of the way it works. So he was able to spell it out. I got lucky. I don't think most people would get that lucky. So I can see how it would be difficult because you do now have eBay and all these websites you can go on.
Yeah, I think if you can talk to somebody... if you can talk to somebody like Mike and meet up with them, and especially if they'll spend time with you and show it, I don't think it's a bad idea to buy used. Right. eBay and stuff, that's kind of risky. I'll tell you, I had a detector that I ended up trading like 3 times, and all 3 times it went good, but I knew what I was looking at, what I was doing. Somebody new to the hobby, that person could be... There are good people in this hobby, but there's a possibility they're selling it because something's wrong with it and they're looking for somebody new in the hobby or asking too much. But like with you and Mike, I think that was a great deal, and that he can help you out. That's great. In that case, yeah, if you can meet up with somebody and they're willing to help you out and show you, that's not a bad thing at all. You'll get more bang for your buck that way for sure. Pinpointers, I went a lot of years without using a pinpointer, and what I would recommend, though, if you can swing it, a pinpointer will help you recover targets a lot faster and help you out.
Yeah.
I use a pinpointer now. I can still, if I forget it at home or something, or my battery goes dead, I can get by just fine, but especially for somebody new to the hobby that's learning pinpointers and everything, I think it'll help you out greatly. It's very easy to dig on the edge of a target or miss completely, and a pinpointer will help.
That's definitely my biggest issue right now because with these two machines, I'm constantly missing my targets, and I just dig these huge holes. I finally got a pinpointer, and I am saving so much time and effort because it's putting me right where I need to be. So I have to say that is probably the second most important.
I think for somebody new to the hobby learning detectors, I think it's huge. Like George Kinsey's in the group. He's been here. He's been metal detecting since 1969. He says he uses his hand. He's been doing it so long. He could probably recover a target with his hand quicker than you and I could with a pinpointer working together. I still, I went probably 10 years in the hobby before I had a pinpointer, so it's not an issue, and I don't use it all the time because I can usually recover a target really quick, but if I do get on the side of it or something, if there are too many targets and I pinpoint the wrong one, a pinpointer is pretty valuable. It doesn't come out of my pouch every time, but it is nice backup even when you are just using your hands. And
Sure.
but yeah, for sure. And what else was I going to say? I don't remember now. There was something else I wanted to comment on, but I don't know.
It'll come to you. It'll come back.
Yeah, it'll come eventually. I know one thing I wanted to comment on. A couple things. S&W Shooters and Prospectors, that's Chuck Smalley that's up by you.
Okay.
Again, I've never heard anything but good things about him. I mean, really, I've heard great things about him. So I would say he's somebody local to you that you could trust. Brian said, don't be afraid to research a dealer. I agree. As somebody who sells detectors, it's kind of a rough thing to say, but, if you research, I would say this, finding the cheapest doesn't always mean the best. It's like I said, it's really oversaturated. There's a lot of dealers. Most are very competitive, but there are some that are just cutthroat. They'll sell a detector just to make the sale, even if they lose a few bucks after shipping. So when you're researching, oftentimes you can, I would say shop prices and stuff. And, but make sure that you get somebody, when I'm talking to somebody, hey, if you buy from me, I'm a phone call away. If I haven't used that detector, I'll find somebody that can help me with it and help guide you. I will answer my phone almost 24/7 if you have questions, if you need help. If I don't know that detector, I'm really honest and I'll tell you, that kind of thing. And, I might not always be the cheapest, but some of these people that you buy from that are the cheapest, you're not going to get any help. And that leads me to YouTube and everything else. That's kind of where I wanted to go. I'm sorry, I'm just talking your ear off here. You probably got 52 more questions and you're like, Mike, just shut up. Let me ask my questions. But,
no, you've answered quite a few already.
Okay, good. Customer service has really gone away. Rarely do I even sell a detector and somebody wants my help and stuff. And I don't think a lot of it is people go to YouTube and stuff like that, or they turn to social media. And I see so much bad advice. Look, I'm not perfect. I'm still learning. We're always learning. We all make mistakes, but there are people giving out the most horrible advice you could imagine. And here's a perfect example. I see it almost weekly. Somebody brand new to the hobby will be in a group and they will say, what metal detector do you recommend? And 50 people will respond that, buy this, buy that. I literally seen one that said, buy this, everything else is junk. And not one person, I've seen one that just really frustrated me the worst. There were over 30 responses and all suggesting a detector. Nobody took the time to ask, what part of the country are you in? Are you in mineralized soil? What's your budget? What kind of metal detecting are you going to do? There's all these questions that needed, the newbie didn't know to ask that stuff. But
that's exactly
somebody needs to point that out to them. And I have gotten so frustrated, I don't even respond to them anymore. I've come back with, what part of the country and what's the mineralization, what kind of metal detect, and I've had people attack me. It's social media to me has just gotten out of control. And so find somebody who can look, whether you buy from me or not, I will take the time and I will share as much knowledge with you as I can. And that's for anybody. I love helping people in this hobby. I really do. If you're new to the hobby, especially, I will try to point you in a better dealer, or a dealer that's better for you because they're closer. If I can find you a dealer that will take you out and show you your detector and everything else, I'm going to do that. I'm not greedy, and I think that's more important in the sale. I'm also not going to, a good dealer's not going to try to upsell you, and they're really going to try to put you in what they think is best for you. I love Nocta Macro. I mean, but I'm not brand loyal, but I say this, and I think they're the most innovative manufacturer out there. But that doesn't mean they have everything is, I'm going to point everybody towards their detector, because in some cases I think that there are better detectors for certain people. And so not being brand loyal, I'm going to point you in what I think is best for you and for what you're doing. And sometimes it's a lot cheaper. And sometimes I got to be honest with people and say, look, if you're wanting to find old silver coins, or you're wanting to do this, what you're looking at's just not going to get it done. I'm not saying don't buy it. Go out and go find clad for a season and take that money and buy one. It can be done. I hate when I see people that talk about, number one, that, I don't have the money for a detector. I want a blah, blah, blah that's $1,000 and I don't have $1,000. Hard work. Go buy a $200 detector and go pound the school lots, the parks, dig up that clad. You're going to come across some scrap gold, or maybe even nice gold, and save it. And that's exactly what you do then. If you don't have the money or you don't want to spend it, do that. Okay,
that makes perfect sense to me.
I gotta pull it back in and let you ask some questions here.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
You mentioned the word clad. When I first started, I did not understand what clad was, because I saw people on social media with, coins. Some were very old, what I would consider antique, or, old coins, and some were not. And so I didn't understand when they were saying clad, but they were still showing me coins.
Okay.
What's the difference?
Clad is, let me make sure I got, on like quarters, dimes, it's 1964 and earlier. I think half dollars went up to 69 or 70. I can't remember, where they were 40%. They went from like 90% silver to 40% silver. So everything after, I believe, 64 and or earlier for quarters and dimes. And then I think it's 70 and earlier has, at least the 40% content, down to 64. Then they go back to the 90% silver. Clad coins are copper clad coins. It's a copper core with, I think it's just plating. I'm not sure. Yeah. And they're not, they're absolutely face value, but also a lot of your silver, your more common, newer silver coins, a lot of those are only worth like their melt value, what the price of silver is, but they are worth something more than face value for sure. And then 1983, I believe, 83 and earlier, 82 and earlier were real copper pennies. Then you go to the zinc, which I'm sure you've probably found a penny that's ate up. Like the edges are ate up and there's white on it. Mm-hmm. Those are zinc. Those are zinc pennies, and I just throw them away unless they're. Or I got a penny jar. I'll throw them in if they're not ate up. But I found them almost in half. And
oh wow!
Yeah, but yeah, Brian made a good point. He said when you look at the side of your coins, like your dime and quarter, you'll actually see that copper layer on the rim, and that's a good way to tell right away.
Makes sense. I have noticed that. Okay.
Yeah. So one question I remember you had earlier, you were asking about coil covers.
Yeah, and, that was my next question.
Yeah, I highly recommend that you have a coil cover on all your detectors and all your loops. they just keep you from scuffing up and ruining your coil. If you don't have one and you get out enough, you will eventually wear through the bottom of your coil and destroy it. Where a cover, you're not going to do that. Or you might wear through it eventually, but you can buy another $10 cover instead of a $100+ coil.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people with their coils covered, and I just wasn't sure if that was something I would need to invest in. So
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You want to invest in a coil. I need to quit talking so I can let you answer questions. What else you got?
So the other big question is, where can I hunt? Being new at this, I went in my backyard and later read that it's not really a good idea to do that because the homes we live in now, there's a lot of plumbing and electricity, and there's a lot of, it gets in the way. You're not going to find a lot in your newer neighborhoods because there's a lot of interference. So, where do I go? What's okay?
I love this. I love this question. Yeah, that's a good one. Before I answer that, Brian, Dirt Fishing Texas, brought up something really good. Don't forget to clean out your coil cover. You can get sand in there and everything, and actually the detector will start falsing. I don't clean it out every time out, but especially if the detector's acting a little funny, I'll take that off, wipe my coil down, make sure the coil cover's clean. But like sand and different things can actually get in there and mess with your coil. So it won't hurt it. It just, if your detector's running a little bit erratic, take a moment and clean out that cover. It doesn't happen often, but I have had it a few times. George is just one funny thing after another. He uses his wife's shower cap for the coil cover. He put Preparation H on his handle. That guy's a hoot. George has more knowledge than your average 20 detectorists put together. I'm telling you, he is just a wealth of knowledge. A great guy. Oh shoot, I hit my mic. Sorry about that. So I actually would suggest starting in your own yard. And what I would do, even if you live in a new house, one of the problems is we have to educate new people on how to dig a proper plug. But a lot of parks and stuff, they nowadays they don't let people metal detect, and it's because people have gone in there and disrespectfully dug nasty holes, not filled them in, stuff like that. So what I would recommend, now I've seen videos of people, people that are, I'm sorry, hold on one second. What is going on? I don't know what happened to my computer, but my screen's almost dark. What is going on? Well, hopefully we'll be okay. Hopefully we'll get through the show. I don't know. It's like I lost power somehow, and I don't know how. But that was weird. That is weird. Why is my computer screen so dark? People will go in and they're new to the hobby and they'll go dig big nasty holes, and the next thing you know, the place is, that park is shutting down because somebody complained and they went in there and there's all these nasty holes and stuff. So first off, practice in your own yard, and there's a lot of different ways you can do it. There's only one way that I think's right, and that's just my personal opinion. I dig a big hole, probably 8 inches wide and 10, 12 inches long. But the reason I do that is when you dig that hole, I hinge the back. The back I don't cut through. I don't dig a plug. Okay, I don't pull the sod up and away. So I dig something about the size of my foot, which is pretty darn big, a little bit wider, and I fold it back. The reason it's so big is, number one, it will fold better. It'll fold back better, and it will also, it'll grow back together better. I think bigger, and I've tested this with a bigger plug, it's not a plug because I'm not removing it. You dig plugs and they tend to die first, especially if we haven't had much rain. And when you leave that flap on the back and you put it back, it goes back to, the bigger the hole, the better it goes back. Now, don't dig a big crater, but I've seen these guys that dig, a 6-inch hole, take the plug out. It's going to die almost, unless we get a lot of rain or it's winter or fall, that kind of thing. So I tend to dig a bigger plug, not plug, and I fold it back and put it back. Practice that. It's probably an article I need to do and do some pictures of that, because I think that's really important. And I see people that have been detecting a lot of years digging these little plugs, and they tend to not go back together as well. And they die because they cut a plug all the way around. So, practice in your yard. Bury a few coins. Now, I highly disagree with these people who are judging a detector and comparing detectors by their little coin garden. But go, find a little part in your yard. If you got a fenced-in yard, go to a fence pole, come out 8-10 inches, or measure 2-3 foot out, however you want, and put one in at 2 inches, 4 inches, 6 inches, 8 inches, and, lay them flat, put them back together. And then as you get a detector and stuff, or whatever detector, I know you have detectors now, see the numbers you're getting, put a dime, couple dimes, couple quarters, do them at a little bit different depths. And at least then you can kind of, learn, what kind of numbers you're getting on that target. You'll kind of get what kind of depth readings you're capable of, or what kind of depths you're able to get on that detector. When you get into more advanced detectors, you might be able to adjust it better. I'm not getting the 8-inch dime. What can I do to adjust this detector to get that 8-inch dime? That kind of thing. So a lot of people are asking who's on the show tonight. Amy Carter's on tonight. She is new to the hobby. So many questions and passionate about it, and just a lot of fun. So, yeah, Barb, sorry everybody's giving you a hard time. Some people are saying Amy, but they wouldn't tell her who. So we got some real jokesters in the chat every week. It's just that's just how it goes.
Well, that's fun. We don't want it to be boring.
You're probably not going to find much in your own yard, or it depends, but it's a great place to start. Then here's what I recommend. When you feel confident that you can dig plugs and stuff and put them together really nice. Another thing, when we're in droughts and stuff, stay out of yards. The grass is it'll come back. But you don't want to go dig 20 holes, and for the next 3 weeks, somebody has to walk out of their house every morning and see 20 dead spots. Make sure rain's coming or the ground's moist, and it won't be any issue, but stay out of people's grass. If it's your mom's house and she doesn't care, it's your house, that's fine, because it's going to grow back. I mean, you can't kill grass. You can kill it for a short period, but, I've been to people's place and they're like, friends and stuff are like, I don't care, kill it all. That way I don't have to mow it. Well, that's fine. As long as they understand and stuff. I wouldn't go door knocking and ask somebody, though, hey, you mind if I metal detect your yard? And then, a couple days later, they got a bunch of dead spots in their yard, and that's not good. But what I've done for years is, depending on how outgoing you are, but start with friends and family and tell them what you're interested in. I could tell somebody, hey, I'm really into metal detecting. You know of any place or anything? And, you'll get, oh yeah, the park down the road or whatever. And that might be a good lead, but, tell them I'm looking for older stuff. I'm looking for private property, and get them to start thinking like that. And, even friends that aren't into metal detecting or family, if you show them some finds, usually, or even if you just keep talking to them about it, it'll start jogging their memory. Oh yeah, hey, my coworker John, real nice guy. He's, his house is built in 1850. And even if you got to go door knock, it's a lot easier. Hey, my friend Susie works with you, and she told me to come by. Right, that is such an icebreaker. Anymore when you knock on somebody's door, they're almost immediately on the defense. Where if you can get your foot in the door a little bit, even just by dropping a name, it is huge. So I always start with friends and family. I am not afraid. I'm like, one of these, oh goodness, how do I say this without, I'm like one of these people that I'm not afraid to be out in public somewhere and like, have you ever heard of metal detecting? Do you got a few moments to talk metal detecting? I'm like one of them, I don't know how to say that without being controversial, but you get what I'm saying. Like, I will talk metal detecting with a stranger. Yeah. No, I'm really not. I'm not outgoing at all.
Personality and that. Oh, really?
No, I'm really not. Like, I love metal detecting, and it's just a way for me to. No, I really in general don't like people. So, I don't know. I'm passionate about metal. I like metal detecting people, but in general, no, I don't like people. So, but no, I will talk to strangers. But you've got parks and schools. Now you do have to check and make sure that the park doesn't have a no metal detecting ordinance. And that's going on more and more. Usually you can find it on their website. If you don't find it I will say this, and there's probably some people who are going to disagree with me. If I go to their website and it doesn't mention that there's no metal detecting, I don't ask. The reason being, a lot of times you're opening up a can of worms you don't want to open up. If it's not on their website and some park official or something says, hey, there's no metal detecting. Oh, I'm sorry, I went on the website and I didn't see anything on it. Of course, if there's
it's always better to,
because
to
when you're
ask for forgiveness than for permission.
Well, no, not always. In that case,
No.
I personally believe so. Because I've called parks and they're like, oh, never had that question. Let me get back to you. And then 3 weeks later, they're like, yeah, we don't really know. And, it's like you can really open up a can of worms and unless it's posted or it's posted on their website or in the park, I will hunt it. Schools, I will just hunt schools. Of course, don't do it when kids are at school and stuff. Do it on the weekends. I've never been kicked out of a school. Never one time in my life. Of course, you probably don't want to go do a private school or anything like that, but I personally have never had an issue. So I think those are all good places, and starting out, go dig everything that repeats. And, I would say discriminate out iron and dig everything else that repeats. And then you will start dwindling your targets down. So, okay, I've got 23. I've dug 10 of those, and they've all been pull tabs. So stop digging. I'm just throwing a number out there. I'm not, that's just you get it. And so then you stop digging 23s, and then you whatever, you will start dwindling it down, but you will learn your detector so much quicker in my book by just digging. I am fat, I'm old, and when I get a new detector, I still go do that. I'll go to the park. It's not really my thing, and I will just go dig. And I swing when I'm using a new detector. I swing a lot more than usual because I want to swing. I want to listen to it. I want to see the VDI numbers, the numbers. I want to see, I want to turn 90, see if it jumps and all that. And then I will dig. So what happens is eventually you're going to start hitting targets, and by the sound, okay, pass that up or whatever, and you'll start dwindling down. But in the beginning, I would say just dig it all but iron. and you'll really learn, do that. Don't do that for long periods because, there's parks you can go to in 10-foot square area you could spend the next month, but you'll see what I'm saying. You'll start, okay, I've ran across 23 20 times now and it's been a pull tab. I'm going to start passing those up. Oh, here's an 83. I've dug dimes that are 83. Oh, here's another dime. Okay, I know to keep an eye out for 83s. That kind of thing, and you'll start dwindling down. And so that's something else I'd recommend for sure.
So when you say parks and buildings such as public schools, and I would think that it depends also what you're looking for, because you could go to a school that was built in the 60s and you're really not going to find much more than just some coins that kids have dropped. Whereas if you go to a park that's been around for 200 years, it's a historic, which I'm sure they wouldn't let you dig in a historic park, but you're going to find relics, and you're going to find there's a lot more history and a lot more opportunity for people to lose things. So would you say that going to older parks is better than going, or older schools, older buildings? Do you want to stick to those, or do you find just as much with the newer ones?
Well, let me back up a little bit. I'm assuming that you're going to be doing that kind of hunting. If, there's some people that get into beach hunting, and I don't think we're going to touch on that tonight, but we will get into all that. We'll get into, although I'm not an expert at prospecting, I would like to find a guest who can kind of guide us on that down the road on another episode as we're talking news. So we're kind of being but no, I don't think in the beginning it really matters. You want to go somewhere where there's a lot of accessible targets. Go to the park that's 50 years old, that people are there all the time, and just, you want to dig clad. You want to dig that stuff. You're not going to go to a new park or an old park and probably start pulling out deep coins anyhow. You're going to need practice.
Sure.
And,
okay.
So I think when you right away, and then you never know what you're going to find where. It might, that school might have been built in the 60s, but, they built schools on top of schools on top of schools.
Okay.
So it doesn't mean that you
I
couldn't
think of it
find
that way.
something, but you're probably not going to find it somewhere older anyhow starting out. The whole thing in the beginning is just go dig. Go dig. If it repeats and it's not iron, dig. Once you start seeing the same numbers for a pull tab or, junk items, then you can start, okay, I'm not going to dig that. I'm not going to dig that number because I've dug so much junk under that number. Then you start whittling it down. You start learning your detector. You know what coins are coming in. Bill said pencil erasers. My goodness, I have found so many pencil erasers in my life. I hate those stupid things.
Oh.
You probably, not as many as pull tabs, but my goodness. When you're at a school, you're going to find, if you're not finding pencil erasers, you're not doing it right. Kids love to pull those off. And, so no, I think right off start, and I would even recommend that before you start talking to family and friends to get, you don't want to go, you don't want your friend John to tell you about his buddy's place and you only get one shot at it and it's an early historical site or whatever, and you go in there and you're newbie and you don't find anything, you'll look back 6 months later, 3 months later or whatever and go, oh my goodness, I wish I could hunt that now.
Had waited. Now that you're more knowledgeable, you can read your detector.
Yes.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
That
Another
makes sense,
thing,
too.
something that I completely passed over that I keep wanting to say, you said you're having trouble with pinpointing.
Yes.
I kind of prefer putting it in the ground, but if your yard, if you've got a little spot of yard where the grass is missing or something, bury a coin and to where you know exactly where it is and then pinpoint. And I don't care if you put a little marker dot on top of your coil, put a, or mentally note where that the center, where that's picking up the center of that coin. And you'll get good enough just doing that and knowing exactly where the center of your coil is, or the center of your coil is where it's picking up, because sometimes they're a little bit different, that you should be able to go out and dig a coin with a screwdriver or an old brass probe. That's how accurate they are. So take your time. I also think as a newbie, I know for me this was an issue. I would get a repeatable signal. I'd throw my detector down and start digging like a madman. And it would take me longer to recover it because I got so excited instead of taking the time to pinpoint it out. Now,
I think that might be my problem.
Yeah. And and that's okay. It is for most people new to the hobby. Another thing, do you X out the target when you're pinpointing?
Well, when I've been using the F2. I don't use the Garrett as much. I have it to where it can pinpoint. So Mike had shown me how I can actually pinpoint with that actual detector. But even still, I'm missing my targets. So I don't know. And I end up digging big, huge holes very deep, and I just don't know what I'm doing.
Okay.
So that is definitely a huge problem for me.
Practice in your yard and just throw a dime down and then keep your coil as steady as you can, like 3 or 4 inches above it, and hit your pinpoint. And then, probably best to start with it on top of the ground because you can see it. And pinpoint, and then notice on your coil where you're at when you're like dead center of it. And you'll get it down. Just practice with a coin. Just practice with a coin on top of the ground so you can visually see where it's at under the coil when you feel like it's center and stuff. And then when you get up a little nerve, bury one, and you'll get the hang of it really quick.
Yeah,
really quick.
It's just trial and error. Just like anything else, I suppose. So I guess, after talking to you, I would like to get out and dig some fields. I'm going to try and do some homework here in the next few days and see what I can find. Now, I'm very close to Chicago, so I know there's got to be a lot of history around here. A lot of people have had to drop quite a few goodies. So I want to try the field hunting as well. I've tried the beach. I've tried my backyard. I went out to my in-laws' farm. I'm actually going there this weekend. I'll probably practice there again.
Good.
Yeah, so as long as I can just get out and practice, it'll come. I'm not giving up on it.
No. Go if you have time before you. Oh my goodness, George just made my night. Oh, George, I appreciate it so much. George found there's an old detector that he really likes that's really sounds so cool and they're so hard to come by, and he found me one. I love that guy. And I said I love him, and he said I don't swing that way. Me neither, George, but when I meet you someday, I'm hugging you, buddy. I'm sorry. I don't swing that way, but you're getting a big hug, big bear hug. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was kind of going over chat, make sure I didn't miss anything else. So before now and this weekend, go take a coin, throw it, put it in your backyard, put it on the ground, and just practice pinpointing, and you'll see what I mean. Go left to right. So if Mike showed you how to do it, stick with that. But when you can visually see it on top of the ground, go a couple inches above it and just work it. And if you need to, take a green Sharpie or a pink Sharpie and put a dot where you keep finding the center of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
okay.
yeah.
That's a good idea. I'll give that a shot too. See what Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah, and if you need, call me. I know Mike would help you. Mike's a great guy. He's in a tractor all day and doing nothing but driving around in a tractor knocking stuff over, so you could call him. I would help you. I would have no problem helping you, but with the F2, Mike's got one. I'd give him a call. And, since you bought that from him, I would call him like every time you go out. That's what I would do.
Oh, I bother him. We talk often all about the detector. Anytime I have a question, I bother him.
He's
a good sport.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'll tell you, it would have been difficult for me had I not met him.
Good.
And I have to say that it was definitely beneficial, and I am very thankful that I joined the group that I did. And went to their hunt because I met some amazing people, and I learned so much in that day.
Good.
So I would suggest any newbie like me, if you can find a group like that on Facebook.
Yes.
They're very. I don't want to say territorial because I don't want to make it sound like people are competitive with each other, but they have their own territories within the state. So whatever you're closest to, you'll always be able to find a group in your area, I think, because I found several around me that I can go to anytime. They have get-togethers, and they're a lot of fun, a lot of great people doing what they love. And I'm very thankful I had that opportunity. I mean, it really did.
Yeah, that's another great thing. I'm kind of an introvert. I really... Overall, I prefer to hunt alone. So I've never really done the clubs and stuff, but they are a great opportunity, especially, for anybody, but especially a newbie, somebody new. I hate that word. I don't know why I keep saying it. I hate that word.
I refer to myself as a newbie, so it fits.
I don't know why I don't like that word, and here I'm just throwing it around left and right tonight, but, no, clubs are a great place, and I don't think you could go to a club and somebody not be, probably several people willing to help you. And, if you can find local detectorists that have the same interest as you, that's huge. If you want a water hunt, find somebody that's really knowledgeable at water hunting and see if they'll take you out. There's a lot of people in this hobby that are really good about that. And, if you want a field hunt, find a field hunter. Mike is a heck of a field hunter. Him and Craig and stuff are great field hunters. And he could probably, you probably spend a day with him in the field. And number one, you're probably going to be hooked. You're probably going to find something really good. And you're probably going to gain so much knowledge from somebody like Mike. And, And Scott, I just wanted to say Scott's a really good detectorist, really nice guy. He's saying he's about 4 hours from you. So you're finding there's people around you. I know Mike's closer and stuff too. I don't know. Mike says weird things to me. He flirts with me. Does he flirt with you? Because I don't know. Sometimes that guy's like he'll just say something. I'm like, I don't know. I'm only kidding, Mike's. I am totally kidding. Yeah, I was going to say something about, no, never mind. He's a great guy. Absolutely. And he loves, him and I, him and I,
he's funny and just a great guy. So I trust him, and my husband likes him, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would say watch your husband. I think Mike might closet swing that way. I don't know. Some of the things he says to me, I would just be careful with him around your husband.
Oh, no.
No, I'm kidding. I'm such a jerk sometimes. No, I think the world of Mike, and great guy. I don't think Mike's been at it too long. I don't remember, but Mike has taught me some things that's really cool, and don't ever stop learning. Don't ever stop. If somebody's got something they'll share with you, listen to them. It might not work for you or might not be your thing, but Mike's taken the time to show me something that I never knew. And, it doesn't really apply to me right here. I don't know. I got to actually look, but I know I do visit Ohio a lot, and Bill said the snakes might meet again. He's referring to Mike meeting you with your husband. Oh goodness. Yeah, I guess I never told you.
Right next to him.
I never told you before the show that the chat often gets a little bit off the rails sometimes, but no, Mike's a great guy. Scott's a good guy. I mean, I know Scott's pretty far, but there's no doubt Scott and Mike both could help you out, and I'm sure there's people even closer. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
And what other questions you got? What else you got for me?
Well, I see a lot of people hunt, obviously, in the summer, in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the winter? Especially if you're a field hunter, I mean, the ground's going to be hard. I know it would be harder to dig, but your fields are going to probably be clear because the crops are gone. But, I mean, do people hunt in the winter up north like where I'm at? Or is it strictly a seasonal thing?
No, if you can handle the cold. I mean, I have been out with patches of snow in the fields and, below freezing, as long as once the ground is frozen, you might as well forget it, unless you want to take chunks of mud home and thaw them out. But no, like if it's unseasonably warm, I've been out in December and January and November, February, all those months when it's unseasonably warm, or whenever the ground's not frozen. Now, if you can handle it, no, you can hunt year round. Absolutely. Yeah, and if you get into field hunting, yeah, you're right. You're not going to be out metal detecting in a t-shirt and shorts very much. You're going to be out in Carhartts and hoodies and face masks and all that good stuff. Yeah, but it is so worth it. Yeah, Scott said loves the winter. Yeah, me too. Oh, go ahead.
My biggest question, the biggest question now that I'm learning more and I'm becoming a little more versed in how this all works. What I need help in now is the whole overlaying with the maps, and like we were talking with the Google Maps and stuff. I mean, that's where I have a lot of confusion right now. That's what I would really like to get into, is finding the old homes and the old properties. And so that's my next goal, is to learn how to do that. I hear everybody talking about it, and it just seems so interesting. It gives you, like you said, it gives you context into the things that you're finding, your treasure or whatever it is that you're finding, and it makes it a little more worth it. I love history. I don't know a whole lot about it. So I might be finding things that I don't know what it is, because I don't know where I'm hunting. I don't know what was there before.
Okay.
So that's where I want to go next, is learning how to do that.
Okay. I can definitely help you with that. A lot of people are using Maprika, and then there's an app I should have got the name of that. I forget, but there's an app where you can look up the homeowners right then and there. What I do is I use historic maps. I use a lot of historical map works. I've taken pictures of maps at the library. I've never had I've always asked, but I've never been turned down. Yeah, of course you can take pictures. And I will put them on my screen, blow them up. Now, I overlay way different than everybody else. But I do have a video on it if you'd like to see it. And the reason I overlay different, I don't actually overlay. I literally jump back and forth between screens. And it's a funky way, but it allows me to constantly make adjustments quickly to overlay correctly. I like how I do it. Now, Maprika is easy, and it's free. It's free, and especially so. I will overlay a township at a time. So, like, you go to Historic Mapworks, or you go to your local library and you find the oldest map, and they're going to have the county, and then they're going to break it down by each township. I told you, like, the one county, the county that I'm from, minimum I'm finding 100 sites that are gone per township. It takes me about an hour or less in most cases. Now, I've had townships that have over 200. They might take me longer, but I can overlay usually in less than an hour. What I do is I set aside time where the kids aren't jumping on me and climbing on me and things are crazy. I'll usually do it at night when everybody's asleep, and I will take that, so I know I've got an hour set aside, and I will overlay that whole township onto Google Earth. And I sent you something earlier that this is all explained. There's pictures and everything else. You'll have to look through that. I also have a video on it. If you go to YouTube, All Metal Mode, I really, just the podcast is on there. There's not much on there. But you can watch how I do the overlays. There are other ways to overlay. I don't like that way. Once you get the map up there, you're kind of stuck. The way I do it, I can constantly adjust on the fly. I think Maprika is a great option for people. It's a quicker, easier way. There are videos on that. And but Historic Mapworks is your friend. HistoricAerials.com, historicmapworks.com. I think it's Historic Topos, I believe. And
Historic Pop. Okay.
And then let me see if I can go out and grab it real quick, because I've written some, all my articles now are going to Dirt Digest magazine, but you can also visit my blog. I've got articles on it there and stuff. Matter of fact, what I sent you earlier is pulled from one of my articles, and if you go to mode, let me pull this up real quick, and there, what I sent you earlier too. There's also ways to find sites without maps. There's a chat.
Oh, okay.
There's a section on that'll help you a lot, and once you start finding these things, you'll really, they really start jumping out at you. And I sent you some pictures along with that. But I would just say, like, I don't want to sit here and roll through the whole,
Sure.
all my articles and find that. But what I'll do, you're not in the chat right now, are you?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I have to figure out all of that as well.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and throw it in chat. If anybody's listening and wants to know about this, you can go out and find the specific articles. But then I'll send this to you in an email, and you can go through.
Okay.
There's 3 or 4 articles on field hunting in there, and what I sent you is a little more detailed, though, but there might be some... Bill already did that. Thank you, Bill. And then I will, after the show, I will email you, and I will get you a link to my blog so you can look those up if you're interested.
Okay.
Good deal. And
Thank you.
so, and I'll kind of go over it, but what I sent you is going to have pictures and everything else. One of the ways in fields, something that I found, and this took me a lot of years to figure out, which is kind of embarrassing, but okay, they can be hard to find. But let's say you're out in the country and you're driving, there's a farmhouse up in the corner, let's just say, and it's this, it's 1,000 acres. And you're driving down the road, and the whole field can be accessed from where the barn is and stuff. Okay, there's no creek cutting across the farm or whatever to where they would need another access point. If you drive along and you pay attention really good, again, there's some really good pictures of that on what I sent you. You will see that over the ditch that there's there was a driveway, and it usually doesn't go into the field. Well, so often those lead to old house sites.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Okay.
That is one way to see it. If you're driving down the road and you see a field and there's a hill, I don't know how many times I've been driving down the road and I see a hill, a small hill even, and the side of it, there's like it comes down a little sharper and then it kind of flattens off a little bit and then it goes back down, and it's like, oh, that's odd. A lot of times that has led me to where a house site was. I've seen that over and over again. And, there's, once you start noticing things, they really start to jump out, especially, I was driving down the road one time and I was going to go hunt this field, but I was way down at the other end. And as I'm driving, I was driving slow, just looking out in the field. I saw that it was everything was flat at that end of the field. I mean, flat as flat could be. But in this flat area, probably 40 yards off the road, I noticed what looked like the size of a small foundation was slightly higher. And it was so slight, I wasn't sure, It's like, I think that's a little bit higher right there. Well, I walked down there and sure enough, it was where a house had been. And, a lot of people, when I start talking field hunting and new to the hobby, they think, okay, field hunting, so I just go randomly walk a field. No. You don't want to just go, no, you don't want to go randomly walk. You can waste a lot of time. Now, Bill Marsh, that's in the chat right now, he's always in here. He's a field hunter and he will do that, but he will go off of clues that the surrounding area has given him. Any high spots around creeks, any high spots in field, you don't want to go walk the low areas. It's very unlikely anybody built a house, in the low area that water sits in the field. But the high spots, any little hills along creeks, especially above creeks, because creeks flood, all those are worth walking to. When I get permission for a field site, I've got permission for the field, so why not look for anything else that might lead to a clue that there was another site there? And oftentimes you'll find them. It's pretty amazing how many sites that predate the map that I found from just like, oh, that hill off in the distance, that'd sure make a good place for a house, or there's that hill look at the side of it. It looks like it's like there was a flat spot in it, and from all the years of farming and stuff, they're not real noticeable. It's not like, oh yeah, that's a foundation set there because it's like a hill and there's a real nice flat spot. It's usually more of a dip. And you'll see that dip in the side of a hill, and it's like, oh, that's interesting, and that's led me to a lot of sites. So, but there are ways to overlay and spend the time, and then there's ways to just go out and adventure and look and spot things. But once you start seeing them, what I sent you, I've sent pictures of. I think there's pictures of all that I sent you, that I just described.
Okay.
So that'll help.
Perfect.
Something I never said at the beginning of the show, if you're listening in, and especially if you're somebody new, you're more than welcome. Jump in chat. Once you're listening to the show, a bar comes up and it's got the play and the pause button and all that. Look for the little bubble and jump in, ask questions. We'd be more than happy to help you, answer anything we can here. And, so feel free to do that. And also, if anybody wants to call in, let me pull up the number real quick. I do not have it ready. Most of our listeners are through the week. They don't listen live, so I don't know if we'll have any call-ins. But if anybody would like to call in, if you've got a question, or if you would like to add something, or you've got your own suggestions for somebody new starting out, the call-in number is 682-459-2819. 682-2977, and I'm going to put that in chat right now, and I'll say it one more time. It's 682-459-2977. Give us a call, jump in chat. If you got something to add, please feel free to do so. And then, was there anything else? Did we overwhelm you tonight?
Nope. I feel good. You answered a lot of questions. I was going to ask, as far as tools go, earlier you had mentioned that when you're buying your first detector, you want to make sure that it's the right weight.
Yes.
Are you looking for one that can be in the water? So is it waterproof? Is it,
Right.
The warranty? What kind of warranty do they have? And then,
those are all important, absolutely, and things I didn't cover. Thank you so much. And that's another thing about buying a detector. Finding a dealer that's close enough that you can actually go physically touch them and try them out and stuff. Because, for example, I have a detector right now that I absolutely love, but it fatigues. The bend in the shaft for the handle is just off enough that it hurts my forearm. And it's not a big deal. There's workarounds, but you might have your heart set on something and you go and you're like, oh, this is heavy. I don't like this. Or you might not like the tones, but you find something that suits you better. And, I think another thing I would say, don't always listen to what everybody says. Somebody might tell you this detector's the best, but they're in totally different grounds and they're hunting totally different than what you are. You want to get what works for you, and it doesn't matter the brand. It doesn't matter if it's not popular in your area or whatever, if it works right. I mean, a lot of people, one thing I will say, there's a lot of brand loyal people, and they'll say, buy this, you want to buy this, you want to talk to somebody who knows. I love talking metal detectors. I love talking metal detecting. I don't need the sale. Give me a call and I will lead you in the right direction. No matter what that is, you tell me your price range, what you're wanting to do. And if I don't know, I will find somebody who knows that I very highly trust, that's been doing it as long as me or longer. And I will help you pick a detector. I mean, again, I'm going to refer you to a local dealer if you have one. If you have a good local deal, I'm not going to try it. I'm not going to high pressure sales or anything. That's not me. I will genuinely help you pick what's going to work for you. Period. End. And buy it from somebody local if you got somebody local that's good. I will, because I'm not brand loyal. I can almost, you tell me what you want to do and I can almost tell you what you want in every price range, or I'll give you an option and I'll give you the good and bad on each one. The positive and the negatives. I love the electronics. I love the detectors. So I get a lot of them in my hand. I'm very fortunate to do so. And, I will happily share my knowledge and my information with you, whoever it is. Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah,
right.
that's huge. I mean, I think what you touched on earlier, people on social media are a lot of them use specific products because they are working with that company in some manner, whereas they're not going to tell you about the 50 other different types of detectors and how they might fit your specific needs. Because
Yes.
like you said, people are looking for different things. Some people
Yes.
are looking for those relics. Some people are looking for coins. Some people want to water hunt. Some people,
Right.
and what they're trying to sell you may not be what you need. If you're a beginner, you don't know all the bells and whistles.
Nocta
It doesn't make
Macro.
sense.
Nocta Macro
You could,
is my favorite detectors right now. They really are. They've got some really neat, innovative stuff. They're just, every time they come out with a detector, it's better. But right now right this minute, they don't have an entry level detector. So I'm not going to tell you to buy something that's, several $100s when you're wanting to spend $200 or $300. I can't, in certain cases, even in that price range, detectors in their same price range, I one of the advantages one of the things that I love about doing the podcast, first, I mean, there's so many things, but one thing that I consider advantage and something I love is I get to talk to so many people, and I in the metal detecting community. And for example, I am hearing over and over that right now in that price range, the best for saltwater beaches is the Mine Lab Equinox. So
Okay.
I tell people, that are looking in that price range, I have to tell them, hey, I love the multi-cruiser. I love the Amphibio. But if you're looking to get into saltwater beaches, everybody I'm talking to, even people that love their Amphibio, love their multi-cruiser, I've got a guy that I very much trust. He uses his Amphibio inland, and on the saltwater beaches, he's using his Mine Lab. So I pass that information along, and you want somebody to talk to who's got a lot of knowledge, used a lot of detectors. They're not brand loyal. There's one company out there. Well, not one. There's a guy out there that I don't care what kind of hunting, what you're looking to do. There's one detector he will recommend over and over again, and it couldn't be farther from the truth. It's a good detector. And in certain situations, it's a great detector, but it's not the best detector for all those situations. It's just not. And I see him all the time posting that detector is like, you want this? No, you don't. Not necessarily. And so I think that is huge, and that's hard to find now. Everybody's so opinionated, and just. I mean, literally, I the one that just got me the most was the guy who said, buy this, everything else is junk. No, that's not true. And, not to mention that person, the person brand new to the hobby, never said where they're at, what kind of detecting they're going to do, what kind of, what they can afford or what they want to spend, none of that. And he suggested a higher priced detector that's the best and everything else is junk. No, I can find you a good detector for all the price ranges. I really can. And I'll give you an option, and somebody who, you don't have to talk to me, but find somebody that does that. If you ask somebody, hey, what detector would you suggest? And they tell you a detector, you don't want to listen. I'm sorry, you don't want to listen to them because they didn't ask the proper questions. Where you're going to be detecting, what kind of ground, what do you want to look for? What's your price range? There's all these questions that need to be answered first. Then if they start giving you multiple detectors, well, in this price range, I would pick one of these three myself, and here's why. In the mid-price range, I would pick this or this, and here's why. Here's what's good about this one. Here's what's good about this one. Here's what's bad about both of them. That kind of thing. That's the person you want to talk to. And what that person will do, somebody good, in my opinion, they're not going to say, buy this. They're going to say, I would choose from these 3 or 4 or 2, or however many. These are the ones I would choose from, and I would give you enough information on each one. You should be able to choose which one you want. This one's really good in saltwater. This one's not as good, but it's good. But this one's better on coins, and this one's a little deeper, but if you're going to be more saltwater hunting, I would still pick this one. And you know what I mean? And you want to find that person. If you're new and you ask that question and somebody says, buy this, I'm sorry, you don't want to listen to them. You don't.
Yeah. When I first joined the site that I'm on here in Indiana, that was one of the questions I asked. Hey, I'm new here. Just curious what I should buy. What do y'all think? The administrator of the account actually had to take that whole feed off because people were fighting. Because, like you said, they're very some people get really offended about when you say, oh, no, I don't like that particular brand. And they're like, no, what you're using is crap, and excuse my language. But
no, that's okay.
They were getting angry with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And he had to take it down, and he apologized. He said, Amy, I'm sorry that I had to take off your post, but it was really getting out of control. And I completely understood, because I witnessed how these people were very product sensitive. And
yes, it's like, Ford, Chevy, Dodge kind of thing.
You didn't ask.
And sometimes even worse. I mean, it's amazing to me when people, I've seen them turn into fights and everything else. And it's like, oh my goodness.
No, and like you said, not one person asked me, what are you using it for? What do you need it for? Like you said, it's exactly, first of all, I didn't know the questions to ask. That's how new I was. Mm-hmm. I was kind of hoping people would lead me and educate me, but it was all about the brand name or the what they were using or what they preferred. Well, it's great that that's what you prefer, but I'm new, and I don't really want to spend $1,200 on something that I cannot understand.
Right.
I'm sure that's a great metal detector. It's very expensive. However, I'm just getting into this. I had to learn everything before I had, buy these very expensive metal detectors. I mean, you can really ruin it for someone if you could steer them in the wrong way. You can ruin it for them.
Yeah, I agree, and that's why I hate that so much. You can really mess somebody up. There's the AT Pro has probably been out 10 years. It's older technology, but I've led a lot of people to that, because if you're new to the hobby and you're wanting good performance, it's a very easy detector to use. It's very simple. I don't think, although I think, in my opinion, I think that the Multi-Cruiser and Amphibio made by Nocta Macro are a lot better detectors. I think if you're new to the hobby and you're wanting to get that depth for silver coins and stuff, I often still recommend the AT Pro, because it is a simple turn on and go workhorse, and it's heavy. I think there's definitely better. I like the detectors that have that are rechargeable now instead of holding AA batteries. But at the same time, I don't want to tell you something that's a few $100s more that you might not get into the hobby because it takes a little more to master. But I will I explain that to people too, hey, if you have the patience, I might recommend this or that. If you want something simple, a workhorse, I still often recommend the AT Pro. Yeah, Bill has had a ton of AT Pros and he loves them. They're great detectors and they're affordable. Being that they're older, the prices have come down quite a bit. And they're still they get the job done. You don't have a bunch of, you don't have to switch a bunch of stuff up. People that are wanting to get into field hunting, Tesoro went out of business, which is really a shame. But, I could recommend their $160 compadre. You hunt with that, and if you're not in mineralized soil, that thing will do better than a lot of the digital detectors, because it is a concentric coil, but a digital detector just, in my experience, doesn't handle the iron as good. Where you're going to find a lot of iron in those field sites, as good as a analog detector. And people can literally get into the hobby if you're going to go field hunting. If that's like your main thing you want to do, you can get into it for a few $100. Bill said he got his first one from me. So I lived in Ohio. I got to tell this story to Amy. She'll get a kick out of this. Bill and I, between the two of us, we look like a couple Sasquatches. I mean, we're big burly dudes, right? And Bill called me, this first time I ever met him or anything, and we decided he was going to buy a detector from me, and he decided to we were going to meet like halfway. I think he was roughly like an hour away. So we met at this park that I'd hunted before. I'd talked to the groundskeeper, and I was going through the town one time, and I said, is metal detecting allowed here and stuff? He's like, yeah, it's no problem. We have people detect here all the time. Oh, she's in chat now. Well, so I
figured it out.
Good. We were detecting for a matter of seconds, I think, and this guy pulled up on his tractor. He was mowing there at the park and just ripping us. I mean, screaming and hollering. And I just looked at Bill. I'd never met Bill before, but like my first reaction is I wanted to rip him off the tractor and set him straight. It's not posted. It's not posted on their website. I had gotten permission to be there. But here, this guy had taken over like ground maintenance, and he was an archaeologist, so that explains a lot. So that was my first time ever meeting Bill was, the detector dealer getting thrown out of a park with his customer was really interesting. Yeah. Really interesting.
Well, that's... That is interesting. That's kind of I don't know. I don't know if I want to be in that situation.
Well, I was doing everything right. I mean, this is a tiny, tiny little town. You blink and you went through it. Like I said, I talked to the maintenance guy. He's like, yeah, there's no problem with metal detecting. It hadn't even been that long since I'd been there last, and there was still nothing on their website. I don't even think that town has a website. But yeah, that guy was angry. He was angry.
That's one thing that I am really scared of is not so much getting turned down, but being harassed by people who don't know what's okay and what's not. I was...
Yeah, Amy, do you carry a gun? No, I'm just kidding.
No, but I'm getting ready to.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. You should if you're out. Yeah.
Yes. Well, me, I'm 5 foot tall. I'm really short.
Oh, okay, okay.
And I'm a young old lady, and I don't really want to get hurt. And This is something I'll probably be doing more on my own. And I think you could probably find yourself in some sticky situations. So that's another thing to consider is safety when you're out in these fields by yourself or these abandoned properties. So I guess I should probably consider that too. Good point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I highly recommend. A lot of people. I carry my shovel and stuff. A rabid animal is a scary thing to come across. I was attacked by. I was in a field behind homes one time, and a handicapped kid who was not supposed to leave his yard, I later found out, had a big, nasty Rottweiler on a leash that was dragging him out to me, snarling, and about a 50-pound mutt. And I'm not yelling at this kid, not mean. I'm like, hey, buddy, your dog scare me, stay back. And he's trying, and the dog's just dragging him. Well, I'm stepping back. This dog wants to eat me. And I've got my shovel, I've got my pistol. The last thing I want to do is shoot somebody's. I love animals to begin with, but this was a big, big, nasty dog. And so the kid finally got it stopped. The other dog is running around me, yelping, barking, growling at me. And I'm just like, oh my God, geez. And that dog, the big Rottweiler lunged at me. And when I jumped back, the other dog bit me on the back of the leg. And luckily the neighbor come out and knew the dogs, knew the kid, and they apologized up and down. But you don't know. I just read an article where a guy, and we're talking like a 30s well-built guy here, I think it was in Texas, don't hold me to it, was killed by a dog. And you just, you run into animals in the fields, you run in, the biggest ones to worry about are the two-legged creatures, I'll be really honest with you. But
that's what I'm concerned with.
You still got to be careful. Yeah. I think that's a good, a good topic. Protect yourself. My goodness, I've never pulled my gun out ever. I've never threatened anybody with it, but if it's my life or somebody else's or an animal's life, I want to know that I've got that. And because as much as I love, well, I'll tell you, I had a couple guys that I used to hunt with. They were what I would call urban hunters. They loved to go to up in Columbus and metal detect in the ghettos. And one was a retired cop. I went one day with an ex-Marine sniper, and all four of us have guns, right? And we pull into this neighborhood with this big wide strip running up the road, the middle of the road. And we're hunting in there and along the sidewalks and knocking on doors, and people are letting us hunt. And there's a house across the street with yellow tape around it. And one of the guys we were talking to said, yeah, he was watching TV and there was a drive-by, and the old man sitting in his chair watching TV took one to the head. And
oh my God.
Not long after that, a carload of guys drove around so slow and were eyeballing us. We're all spread out probably 20, 30 yards apiece between us. And then they drove around again. They said something. And I just thought, I never did it after that, because there's no coin or anything in here I'm going to find that's worth my life, So I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying that's where I came to the realization. There's a lot less to worry about out in the field. So you usually don't run across the two-legged critters. And that's the only real incident I ever had with four-legged was the dogs. And that was just a bad accident. The kid actually, he was autistic, and he was actually getting adopted. And the adoption people were over, and they had him out in the yard. Well, he saw me and metal detecting, was interested, and he thought he'd grab the dogs and bring, he wasn't supposed to. So, I mean, the dogs had their shots. It was all good. I was completely okay with it, but it could have gotten ugly really quick. Mike said, Amy, come down. Oh, you're in chat now. Never mind. I'm sorry. Yeah, Mike, let Mike take you out field hunting. You will be hooked. I'm telling you, there's nothing like it in my book. Just nothing like it. It's incredible. But I mean, it's all good. I don't care wherever you're at. It's all good. Water hunting. I'd love to go prospecting sometime. It's all good. I'm sorry. I'm just going on and on. Amy, was there anything else?
At the moment, no. I think that you really touched on a lot of the things that I found were really difficult for me to get started. I think that is probably those are probably the most common issues newbies have these days. It's just figuring out how to get started, what machine, where can you go? That those are just, the other thing is, you know what I want to ask?
Yeah.
I have so many tools now because I've been buying I bought myself a new knife. It's like a digger knife. And then I bought my pinpointer, and I also have my waterproof pinpointer.
Oh,
and
cool.
Then I have these 2 detectors with me, and I'm having a rough time carrying everything around with me. I was telling you that I have a bucket that I throw everything in, and then I move from spot to spot. But, I mean, what do most people do? I mean, I would imagine most people just stick to one detector at a time, and they have, like, belts, and then their GoPro or whatever.
Yeah.
I would really love to get into recording, and that seems like fun to me. But where do I put everything?
Well, I think, it depends on what all you're taking out. You mean like literally going out into the field or, anywhere hunting. You're talking about while you're metal detecting, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so
I've seen people with belts that have like these huge pockets on them and pockets hanging off their backside and, just loaded with all of these pockets.
Okay.
Where they can put everything and you look so professional.
Right. If that's what you want. Yeah. Well, it depends on what all you're carrying, what works best for you. I hate things touching my skin. I'm really weird even about, this is how bad it is. When I put on a shirt in the morning, I'm just like, like I hate things touching my neck. Once I get it on, I'm okay. But like, and I hate things like pulling on me and stuff. So I don't wear, so I usually, you know, obviously in the summer, I don't do this. In the summer, you'll find me out literally with a pinpointer, my digger, and my metal detector, and I might have a bottle of water. I'm light. Bill says, Amy, go light, go fast, go far. That's me. Even like field hunting and going way out away from the car, then, you know, the weather's better for me, and I wear bibs, and everybody laughs about it. I used to have people laugh at me and stuff, and so many of them started wearing bibs, which just cracks me up, you know, because they used to make fun of me when we'd meet up, and then it's like, oh, I see, you know, because you've got top pockets, you've got, you know, I hang my pinpointer off my hammer holder and stuff, and I can fit I always get them big so I can fill my pockets, and, you know, so my pinpointer goes in my one back pocket, or I'm sorry, my digger goes in my right back pocket, I'm left-handed, and my trash goes, my bigger iron and stuff goes in the other back pocket, my phone up top, and I've got, you know, so I go light. But, you know, you can go to, if you know, you can go buy belts and pouches and stuff at Lowe's, Home Depot, and that kind of stuff if that's the route you want to go. A lot of the manufacturers, and I'm not up with it because I don't wear any of them, are making pouches. I know there's a guy who makes like really nice, high quality ones. So I'm not the best, maybe the best one for that, because I mean, I will be a freaking mile out in a field with just a bottle of water, my pinpointer, and my shovel, and my metal detector, you know. Yeah, Jason S. said fly fishing vest, no pouch needed. Yeah, that's actually, I've been looking at them, Jason, and I think I could handle that a little bit better than a pouch around my waist. There, you know, something like a fly fishing vest, or, you know, even a fishing vest is a great idea. But there are pouches. Yeah. Okay. Especially if you don't like stuff around. Oh, it creeps me out. Like my pants getting pushed down and stuff, and getting up and having to adjust it, and leaning over, and your fat belly, my fat belly, I'm sorry, not your fat, my fat belly, like hanging over and pushing on it and making me feel even fatter than I am. And I'm just like, oh, I hate this. So, yeah, I have been looking at,
just go light.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, like I rarely do I carry two detectors in the field. Now there are some, I'll tell you something really cool I've got. So, Rudis is a manufacturer over in, it was right on the tip of my tongue. They don't even offer detectors here in the United States yet. They're Poland. They're made out of Poland. They're awesome detectors. They sent me a bunch of stuff like pins and lanyards and different things, and I need to start giving some of that stuff away. And well, they'd sent me like a couple backpacks. Well, I really never looked at them because I don't like stuff on me, right? Well, I pulled one out. I had to clean the closet because I've got so many detectors in there. I'm always in trouble. My wife can't get in there. Detectors falling off the wall, hitting her in the head and stuff. You know, coils falling from the, so I'm like, okay. And I've misplaced a coil. No kidding. I can't find one of my coils. So today I'm like, okay, I got to go through this. Well, I have a bag they sent me that is, it looks like, well, it's like as big as, bigger, but it would put you in the mind of a golf bag. I have two detectors, like 3 or 4 coils in there, 2 pairs of headphones, 2 pinpointers, a hand digger in there, and it all fits. It's huge, but at least that'll be like my travel bag, like back and forth to Ohio, because when I go back to Ohio, like it's like, okay, how do I pack this stuff up? But, you know, a backpack's enough. If you don't mind stuff on you, there's some really cool backpacks out there. I've got a really cool Mind Lab backpack. I don't even know if you can get it anymore. Rudis sent me an awesome backpack. So awesome that I'm like, I might have to put that on sometime when I'm going out in the field. So, but backpacks are a way to go, especially if you're going to be walking a long distance. You can get pouches. The vest is a great idea. So
maybe I'll just pull a wagon.
yeah, there you go. Pull a wagon. Yeah,
pull a
get you an
wagon.
ATV. There, you can go buy one for like $7,000, and no big deal. Put some mud tires on it, and yeah. Bill
Sounds good to
says,
me.
yeah, right. His favorite pouch is the cheap $10 Garrett pouch. He said, I cut the straps off and cut slits in it, slide my leather belt through. Sits right at my belt line. I can't stand the sag of those nylon belts. Yeah, right. Good leather belt. I agree with you if you're going to do that. But yeah. And Amy, if you have any more questions, we'd love to get you back on. If you have more questions, we'll get you back on. But also, we'd like to check in, when you get a little bit more time under your belt, and share some of your awesome finds and things you've learned. And don't hesitate to reach out to me, ask questions. I love talking detecting with anybody, and Mike
You're
is another
passionate
right
about it. Yeah.
And Mike is really good too. I promise I won't send any more. I will do my best not to send any bad text to you. I apologize. Tell your husband I'm sorry. I hope you deleted it.
No, I'm keeping it.
Oh, great. Yeah, you blackmail me. This guy had me on his podcast tonight. Look what he sent me. What a jerk.
I'm
Yeah.
No, it was funny though. I won't repeat it, but it was funny.
Oh my God. Like I think my heart stopped when I realized, like I said, right when I hit send, I was like, that's not Steph's name. Like I could tell, like you can tell by the length of, or, I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. No. Yeah. Well, you're not the first one. Like funny. I said, I told Gypsy a while back I love her. That was awkward. So, yeah. Bill says, good job, Amy. Bring her back for a 3-month update. I agree. Yeah, let's get you back in a couple months and all that.
Yeah.
So I think 2 hours
is some of the screenness. Yeah. A little more educated questions.
Oh, I think you did no, I thought you had really good questions, and I hope people new to the hobby, or, even down the road, we will keep this out there for a long time. Don't forget, everybody, tell your friends and stuff, and you can find us on Spreaker. You can listen to us live. You can download off of Spreaker. We're on iTunes, iHeartRadio. There's a lot of affiliates and stuff. A lot of ways to find us and download and listen. So, yeah, Mike said, Mike Amanda's fusing.
Mike.
So, yeah, there you go. Oh, you're in chat. I keep forgetting you're in chat and stuff. You can see it now. So, I want to know which tree she wraps.
I don't know what that means.
That means you're going to get frustrated and want to wrap your detector around a tree one day.
Oh, like throwing your golf club.
Yes.
Or, okay, I gotcha.
and something else I just thought about while we're talking. I'm sorry. I know we're like 2 hours in here. Another thing, though, really important is stick with it. Be patient. Ask questions. Find people that you feel like are giving you good information. And I'm just talking in general because you're going to get frustrated. You're not, with social media, you see these people out there posting good finds every day or every week. And you're like, oh my God, I'm going out and I'm digging up pull tabs. That takes experience. It takes time, and you got to put your time in, but it'll come, and it's there. It is there, and it's, I know people that think, oh, in my area, it's not good like that. No, there's stuff in your area. You just got to you got to be patient, and I feel like you've got that. I think you've got the passion,
I do.
You're
I really do.
Cool
I
stuff.
got hooked immediately.
Good deal.
I'll stick with it.
Amy, thank you.
But I will keep up.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say I'll keep up with it, and I'll get better at it, and I'll keep listening to podcasts and watching YouTube videos and listening to people that I meet along the way, and with time, I'll get there.
You will. Before you know it, a quick story. I taught a guy years ago how to field hunt. He was new to the hobby, bought his first detector, and every time we went out, he's like, oh man, I can't wait. only found 2 or 3 good things, or, he had some medical issues I'm not going to go into, but it caused some of that, and he'd had a rough time. And I just kept telling him, be patient. Look back in 6 months. Look back in a year. Give it a year and look back, and then see what you found and stuff. And every time we go out, I found 2 or 3 things or 5 things. And when we looked back in a year, he just smiled and he was so happy. He'd filled a room in his house with relics and cool. I'm talking cool stuff. So yeah, just be patient and it'll come.
I cannot wait.
Yeah, it'll come. It'll come. Amy, it was so much fun having you on. We will definitely do it again. Keep in touch. You got questions, me, Mike, whoever will, if we don't know it, we'll point you in the right direction. So, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for coming on. I had a lot of fun. A lot of fun, Amy.
Anytime.
All right.
I'll be back.
Good night. Awesome. Bye.
Good night.
All right, there you have it. I thought she had some great questions. We kind of went over it before, and she'd asked me a few questions, but I thought, a lot of them I didn't know, and she just thought of. But I hope it helps people out. If you know anybody new to the hobby this might help, send it out to them. We'd like to give a shout out to our friends on Facebook. We Dig the Civil War headquarters. Zero Discrimination. She's on Facebook and on YouTube. Girls Rock Metal Detecting, the same thing. Ohio Relic Hunting and Dirt Pirates Detecting. So there you go. I hope everybody enjoyed the show and have a wonderful night. Thanks for tuning in. Good night, everybody.